Hello friends, this is Wendy. Welcome. We are going to do some really cool stuff today with a card sketch. First, I want to show you this new product that I received from Picket Fence Studios. My friend Kelly Taylor requested that I receive her illustrations, and I received this big package in the mail full of her beautiful stamp sets. I'm going to be honest, it brought a tear to my eye because, you know, it was just so kind and so thoughtful, and I love her work. Kelly is somebody I've followed forever. So if you don't already follow Kelly Taylor on YouTube or Instagram, check her out there. But these are all of her illustrations with Picket Fence Studios. And we're going to use some of them today. Not all of them. I couldn't fit them all in, but you rest assured I'll be using them. Now, after getting all of these, I was just so inspired to use as many of them as I could in one video. So I thought, why not take a card sketch and try to make it multiple ways? Now, after I ended up doing this, I had so much fun doing it that I thought, this is something we're going to be doing in the future. So here's the card sketch. Sorry about my very crass zoom in there. This is the card sketch. It's a Mojo Monday sketch. Mojo Monday no longer makes card sketches, but there are hundreds of them available to try. You can find them on Pinterest, or you can just go to the Mojo Monday blog and find them there. Okay, so there are going to be parts of this video where you're probably like, well, what the heck? Like these, I already colored these magnolias, because otherwise this video would have been like 6 hours long. So there's some stuff I've already done. Here I am off screen a little bit, and I deeply apologize. I just wasn't paying attention, and there's really nothing I can do after I've recorded it. So I took the largest magnolia from this stamp set, and I laid down a piece of cardstock that was as close to rainforest as I could get. We really are stash busting in this video. I'm trying to use up cardstock that I had from Stampin' Up. So I grabbed some of that. I don't remember the name of this color, but I used Rainforest ink on it from Concord and Ninth, and it worked perfectly. I just wanted this piece to have some interest in the background. I knew that it wasn't going to be the focal point, but I didn't want it to just be a plain piece of cardstock. I'm going to use this embossing folder from Spellbinders and give some texture to this card. So let's talk a little bit about sketches. In case you're brand new to what a sketch is, a card sketch is a blueprint for making a card. This is a fantastic use for new stampers or crafters. They make them for scrapbookers also. So if you are struggling, or if you do struggle to figure out how to put together cards or composition or anything like that, this is an extremely useful tool. So for this first card here, all we're doing is picking a few colors that go really nice together, and then we're following the sketch pretty much exactly. The only difference is we're going to change up that circular element for a floral element. This is one of the ways that you can take a sketch and make it a little bit more your own. So here I've got this cardstock. Again, this is some older cardstock that I have in my stash, and I'm going to use my alcohol markers on it, my Copic markers. I'm not crazy about how this set up. You can kind of see the lines. This isn't really necessarily alcohol safe cardstock that I used, but it worked fine. I'm still happy with the card overall. So here I'm just figuring out how I want to arrange my florals. These are the beautiful magnolias from the Graceful Magnolia stamp set that just released from Picket Fence Studios. And then I'm going to add that onto my card front. I'm going to use Altenew foam tape to pop this card front up. This card front is cut at 4 by 5¼ Not all card sketches will give you measurements, but this one does. And I really like that because then everything's consistent across the board. So here I'm inking up one of the sentiments from that Graceful Magnolia stamp set, stamping it in my Mini Misty, and then I'm going to die cut it and add it to the card. It took me a little bit to decide where I wanted to add it. I'm still not totally sure I love where I placed it, but I kind of felt like By placing it here over the magnolia, it really drew your eye into the center of the card versus putting it down low underneath the magnolia made it feel a little disconnected. Either one would have been beautiful. Either one would have worked. I ended up settling on putting it partially over the magnolia. I popped it up partially and then put adhesive because that magnolia is popped up. So I wasn't able to just glue this flat. It has to be popped up on one end. And then the fact that it layers over those little banners that drop down, that really helps draw everything together and make this a focused, like, focal point. And the composition on this ends up being awesome. These are some little gems from Pink Fresh Studios, and I just threw them on there. And that's it. This is the whole card. So this is card number 1. This is done traditional, following the sketch, except for changing up that magnolia. Card number 2 is my favorite. This one just steals the show in my opinion. First, let's talk about this stamp set. This is an ornaments and tags stamp set. And in Kelly's own words, I believe she said it could come across like a sleeper stamp set. So in the industry, a sleeper stamp set means it's a stamp set that when you look at it, you're not totally sure what to do with it. And it might be a stamp set that you kind of put to the side or you don't order because you're like, I don't know if I would really use that. So for me, it's a challenge when I know it's a sleeper stamp set. It's a challenge to see what I can do with it to make somebody want it. Now, this reaches back to my Stampin' Up! Days of even, like, I can remember I had a team member who used to say, I didn't even want that until I saw you do something fun with it. And that just gave me so much joy. Not because she was purchasing the stamp set, but because something I created inspired her to want that item. And it's not necessarily wanting the item, it's that it inspired her. It was like, oh my gosh, yes, I could make something with this. So I'm hoping you find some inspiration from this particular card because this one really stretches the limits of the whole design. So I used layering circles from Honeybee, and the first thing I knew I needed to do was add some sort of texture to the background. So I've got a background piece cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and I went ahead and I die cut a whole bunch of white circles to layer on top. I'm just gluing them flat with my precision glue press. Nothing exciting here as far as I'm not popping these up. I'm not coloring them. I'm not doing anything except layering them. Again, this creates texture. It's a little bit of a different texture than the embossing folder, but texture nonetheless. So I was really excited to create this kind of faux background of as if these were like dots that were coming off the page. The cool thing about these particular layering circles, and I don't know if they all do this, they leave a little bit of a beveled edge. So for this particular project, this was perfect. This is exactly what I needed. So I'm just going across all the pieces here, gluing them on, and then at the end of this, I will go across the back of this piece of cardstock, and I will cut away all the excess pieces that are hanging off the edge. So I'll have a nice flat straight edge with all these really cool circles. You do want to overlap the circles off the edge so that it looks like a continuous pattern. That is important. So here's my finished piece. And then I'm going to go in with those same strips that you saw us use on the first card. These I'm going to cut at an angle instead of a ribbon end. So when you're creating with a card sketch, think of small ways you can change the sketch while still adhering to it. A card sketch is really only meant to spark your creativity and get you going. It's not necessarily meant to be copied perfectly. You can, like I did in the first one, you can copy it exact, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it should spark a level of creativity. Okay, let's talk about this. So my circle that I die cut first, I was able to stamp and heat emboss. I wanted to do the same thing for two smaller circles because, wait for it, we're making a Mickey Mouse head, okay? Or I guess I should say a mouse head. I shouldn't say the other word. I don't want to get copyright troubles. So here I embossed this little piece that's going to go on here with this Altenew Snowy Stars embossing folder. FYI, all of these products are linked in the description below. We're going to change this card sketch up by flipping it on its side. So here you might notice we're going horizontal instead of vertical, and we're going to kind of place things to the right side and have our focal point kind of be in the center versus vertical and to the left side. So again, here's something else you can do with a card sketch. You can just flip it around, change the direction it goes, change the pattern, change the parts and pieces. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We are going to make this a mouse Christmas ornament. So, one of my very, very, very favorite places in the whole world to go is Disneyland. I am a huge, huge Disneyland fan. Not so much Disney World, but Disneyland. I have been since I was a little kid, and I do live in California, so it's an easier place for me to visit than it would be for some folks. Okay, let's talk about this really quick. As I laid this out, okay, I started to put this together, and I kept this part of the video in very intentionally. I thought about removing it, but I wanted you to see the creative process. Do you see how this does not look right? The ears are too small. It almost looks more like a bear's head. I have this really cool embossing pen from, that's the other thing. For the smaller circles, I just used a silver marker and it really didn't look very good. So here I used my magnet from my Anna Griffin Empress. I put the die cuts on there and put the die back over the top. And then I used my Lawn Fawn embossing pen to draw or trace inside of the die. This gave me a perfectly thin, perfectly straight line. Now, I knew it didn't have to be absolutely perfect all the way around because these ears are going to tuck in behind that main circle. So all I needed was most of that circle to be perfect. So I went ahead and did both of those, using that Lawn Fawn pin, and cleaned them up with my microfiber cloth, and look how perfect they turned out. Now they're the right size, and they ended up with the perfect line, exactly the same size as the head. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but toot toot, people, toot toot. I was very proud. I was more proud than a human should be over this discovery. So here I stamped and die cut pieces from this stamp set so that I would have a bow and some little twigs or leaves hanging down. And those are the same color, the twigs or the leaves are the same color as what are those called? Banners on the card. We glued all the pieces and parts together, and now I'm ready to adhere this down. Real quick, I went in with my gel pen and I added some white dashes here along the banners just to give them a little something. I'm going to be honest, didn't need to do that at all because you can barely even see it. But in my head, those needed a little something. So there you go. I'm going to use that Altenew foam tape that I have. I absolutely love my Altenew foam tape roll. You do need to have scissors that will not stick to it though. So that's why I have those Spellbinder scissors. All that will be linked below. And then I silver embossed the sentiment and added it to the mouse with glue and foam tape. I wanted to layer it over the edge, and I love how this card turned out. I mean, words cannot express to you how proud I am of this card and how much I loved it. This card can only be given to an ultimate Disney lover because it must be kept. So I'll be looking for the very right person to give this card to. Luckily, in my family, I'm not in short supply of Disney lovers. So here I was trying to decide if I wanted to add some of these little pearls. I thought the dark red ones would be pretty from Honeybee, and then I just decided to leave it alone. I couldn't really decide where I would want to put them, and so I thought, you know what, it's okay. Sometimes less is more. And so I just left it be. And here you can see we turned that sketch right on its side. So this is our second card using exactly the same card sketch. For our last card, we are going to use this gorgeous poinsettia stamp set. This is called, I believe it's called Christmas Flowers, Peaceful Christmas Flowers. And then I'm going to use these dies from Whimsy Stamps. I want to use them for all my layering pieces. And again, we're going to kind of change things up with the way that we use the sketch. To start out, I've die cut the largest scalloped rectangle, and then I'm going to score it. And then I'm going to cut another one, and I'm going to put it right on top. I'm using this 1/8 inch double stick tape, which is fantastic. It's from scrapbook.com. I'll link to it. And you really need a strong adhesive here because you don't want your card to fall apart. So this is the base of my card essentially. So this is the back, and then I'll die cut exactly the same piece for the front, and we'll glue those together and we'll be set to go on our card. So we end up with a fun shape card. Now this kind of goes against the card sketch, right? The card sketch tells us we need a 4 by 5 1/4 layer, but that's where we're abandoning this, and we're going to cut our own layers at our own sizes. Again, that's where I just want to reiterate, a card sketch is meant to be a jumping off point. It's not meant for you to you have to adhere to it. It's your card. You do what you want. So here I'm just going to burnish the edge open so that this will open easier. And then we have our fantastic little card base here. Okay, for the layering pieces, I die cut the second largest rectangle, added my foam tape to the back of this, and then I also die cut in blue a piece of cardstock for that layer in the other one, this one here, this smaller rectangle layer that goes in the corner. But again, we're going to change directions and do it in a different space, and you end up with 3 cards that look so vastly different, all using the same card sketch. And as you can see, in several, I've only used one stamp set per card. You could 100% use the exact same stamp set for all 3 cards and just do 3 different totally looks using the same stamp set if you're wanting to really stretch your supplies. In this video, I wanted to use as many of the stamp sets as I could that I received from my friend. So, and Picket Fence, I should thank Picket Fence as well for sending me these. So here I had drawn with my pencil where that flower was supposed to sit. So I'm just adding it back into that space because I knew how everything would line up if the flower was in the right space. Or I should say layer. So here it is all finished. I added a few gems, and look at that. We've done a totally different look on this sketch. So that, friends, is all 3 cards. I know we really did not have time to do story time in this video and chit chat very much because we were focusing on doing a bunch of different stuff. But one of the things I want to invite you to do is to join my Creative Vault. The Creative Vault has a 21-day free trial, so you can hop in there and be part of things that are going on for free. It is a membership site. There is a link below this video for that membership. The other thing that you can also do is you can join my email list. If you get on my email list, I send a free creative inspiration calendar out every single month. You don't want to miss out on that. I email it out on the 28th of every month. Okay, so there's all 3 cards. I want to know which one is your favorite. Please tell me in the comments below, and tell me if you've tried card sketches before. I would love to know. Or if you have a favorite go-to that you use to help get lots of creative ideas flowing. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.